Welcome to our Trendcast for Inspiring Trends 2021 to 2022. I'm Natalie Shiel, Category Manager at Synergy in the UK, and today I'm joined by two of my marketing colleagues, Jamie Blake, Business Development Manager for Synergy Italy, and Chris Whiting, Category Manager at Synergy in the UK. Today we will be taking you through the Good for Me and the Planet trend, which sits alongside our other global consumer trends, Connected, Adventure Awaits, and Adopt the Pace of Nature. You can find out more about these trends on our website or keep a lookout for other Trendcast episodes in the series. Good for Me and the Planet is a reflection of today's consumers' growing concerns about how their food, drink, and lifestyle choices will affect the health of the planet as well as themselves. To quote David Attenborough, "Our home was not limitless. We are ultimately bound and defined by the resources on this planet." So as we move into times of the more eco-conscious consumer, there are three key areas of growth we have identified to inspire future product development. These are Power to the Plants, Plentiful Planet, and the Taste of Nature. I will now hand over to Chris, who will take you through Power to the Plants.
Thanks, Natalie. So the Power to the Plants, as the name suggests, is really about how consumers can find more balanced ways to incorporate plant-based foods into their diet. And this trend is actually less about veganism and vegetarianism, which only account for sort of 3 or 7% of European and US consumers, respectively. Instead, the opportunity for this really lies with the flexitarians, the traditional meat eaters who can be sort of tempted towards plant-based products, which can accurately replicate their favorite animal products. Plant-based diets have existed for millennia, but it's only recently in sort of the US and Europe that they've been given such level of attention. Hard-hitting documentaries like Cowspiracy or David Attenborough's Life on Our Planet have painted a picture of change in diet as necessary to kind of combating climate change. We've also seen documentaries like Game Changers, which show something a bit more aspirational. They show that plant-based diets can fuel even our most elite athletes. So there's really no excuse for anyone to not make some changes within their diet. And this trend really is sort of split into 3 sub-trends, which all have quite self-explanatory names. The first is Hold the Meat, which is the trend for meat alternative products. And meat alternative products are probably the most developed in this category. Quorn, as an example, have been around since 1985, Linda McCartney Foods since 1991, so very well established. But we're seeing a lot of innovation in this sector. We're seeing new brands, new concepts hitting the market really regularly. So that's reflected in launches as well, which are up. They've more or less doubled in the last 5 years, and this market is forecast to continue growing as well. So it sits at around 4.5 billion as of 2019, and that's expected to grow to around 7.1 billion globally by 2025. The second part of the trend then is fishless fish. Again, self-explanatory. This is very new, quite niche at the moment, but really growing very fast. As it stands, fish alternatives only account for around 1% of the global meat-free market sales, but it's really exciting and it's set to grow quickly. There's tons of interest in this space, particularly off the back of the Seaspiracy documentary. And we're seeing that reflected in Google searches, for example, which are up around 40% in the UK and 100% in the US. So a lot of interest in this space. And then our final trend is dairy-free, which encompasses both sweet and savoury. Again, this is another area that's seen huge amounts of innovation in the last 5 years or so. Plant-based milks are pretty well established now, so there's a 17 billion euro global market for those, but we're seeing some of the more niche applications start to grow as well. So plant-based yogurts or ice cream, and they're niche, but they're carving out a sizable market share. And in the UK this summer, it's expected that 14% of all ice cream sales will be plant-based. So it's really growing very, very quickly. All in all, I think it's a very exciting category. There's a lot of disruptive brands, but there's also more established brands taking note. So the likes of KFC, McDonald's, Burger King, who have launched into this category with plant-based versions of their flagship products. And from a flavor point of view, it's really exciting as well. You have obviously all of the base flavors, your meats, chickens, beefs, etc., fish, dairy, cheese. But there's obviously an opportunity to pair flavors or build on top of those, whether it's a salted caramel, plant-based ice cream, or American smoky Texas beef burger. There's tons of innovation happening in this space, and I'll pass you back to Natalie now to talk you through our Plentiful Planet trend.
Thanks, Chris. So our plentiful planet is the idea that it has so much to offer, and we're starting to see consumers really take note of this, either through their lifestyle choices or with products that they buy. And they're really looking for products that keep the harmony and balance of nature as it was intended. So we know that globally, 55% of consumers are now more concerned about the environment since the start of the pandemic. So to tackle this challenge, we're focusing on three key areas of growth in the food and drink space. So these are Eat the Seasons, Local Heroes, and Less Waste. So 2021 was named the Year of Fruit and Vegetables by the United Nations. And this is where countries are really being encouraged to make the most of what's in season in their local region. We know that eating with the seasons is not new, but will surely continue to grow as consumers gain better understanding of food miles, soil quality, and organic produce, as well as their impact on the world that we live in. Seasonality has another side to it as well, interestingly, as many consumers missed out on seasonal celebrations throughout 2020 due to the pandemic. So it's likely that we'll continue to see seasonal product launches continue to grow as consumers look to make up for lost time with their loved ones. The global pandemic has really heightened consumer interest in buying local as well. So we were all encouraged as we were staying at home during the pandemic to really focus on our local communities and shop local as well. So consumers are now really beginning to understand how this can have a positive impact on the environment. But it's not just small local brands in this space. We are starting to see bigger corporates tap into the appetite for local flavors as well. So just a couple of examples, Heineken recently launched a range of hard seltzers, which tap into the local flavors of Mexico. And we also saw that Smirnoff launched a vodka with lulo fruit, which is native to Cambodia. So according to the UN, 1/3 of all food produced globally is wasted every year. So the final area within this trend is food waste. We know that this is becoming a really hot topic for environmental activists and also the everyday consumer alike. So consumer attitudes are really changing, especially throughout the pandemic. We saw the lack of supply of basic foods really force consumers to be much more thrifty with what they had in their cupboards and also to make the most of their leftovers as well. So this newfound love of leftovers is also spilling over into food and beverage production, as brands are now looking for innovative ways to make use of ingredients that would otherwise been destined for landfill. So some examples include Toast Ale, who use leftover bread to make beer, Dash Water, who only use wonky fruits to flavour their drinks, and also Kellogg's recently collaborated with craft beer producer Seven Brothers to create 3 new craft ales from leftover breakfast cereals. Some of the flavour innovation we might expect to see in this area really focused on naturals and plant-based ingredients. So lots of different fruits like watermelon, mango, damson, any kind of ingredients that can be foraged and don't have too much of an impact on the environment. So think of things like seaweed, mushrooms, any kind of herbal ingredients as well. So lots of innovation in this area. I think it's one to watch as consumers become much more eco-conscious, and definitely it has strong links with the natural connotations as well. So I'll now pass over to Jamie, who will talk through our final trend area, which is a taste of nature.
Thank you, Natalie. So the final trend is in Good for Me and the Planet is the taste of nature, as Natalie has mentioned, and this is really centered all around all things natural. This theme, which we have seen appear in different Synergy Trendcasts to date, has accelerated even further in the past 18 months due to the COVID-19 pandemic, with greater attention from consumers towards natural ingredients and product transparency, as Natalie has previously mentioned. And as we see consumers continuing to consider natural products intrinsically healthier than their non-natural counterparts. In most recent years, we've seen an average annual increase in sales of almost 12% of natural flavors in the food and drink industry. And in addition to this, with 72% of consumers globally agreeing that it's important that food and drink products are 100% natural, we forecast this trend will grow even further into the future. This trend is divided into 3 main areas, all focused around natural ingredients derived from nature, as I previously mentioned. These 3 areas are botanicals and florals, fruits, and last but by no means least, herbs and spices. So if we consider botanicals and florals, we see brands continuously trying to tap into the positive health and wellness attributes that food ingredients extracted from both these sources, both botanicals and floral sources, offer. This has certainly increased steadily since 2013 and is forecasted to have a compound annual growth rate of 8.3% between 2018 and 2026. This is traditionally used mainly within the beverages category, but we've seen most recently the use of botanicals and florals appear in a more diverse range of product applications, most recently including dairy, confectionery, and sauces and seasonings. As for florals, which in fact is classified as a subcategory of botanicals itself, we see the majority of activity also in the beverage space, where 3% of beverage product launches in 2020 contained a floral flavor. Some product examples include Actimel from the Danone Group and a botanic cheesecake from Boca in France. The next area we want to look at and focus on is fruits. Naturalness is absolutely epitomized through the health halo associated with fruit flavored profiles. From citrus fruits rich in vitamin C and antioxidants to the perceived health benefits of berry fruits, fruit flavors are tipped to continue to grow in popularity in 2022 and beyond as a result of the perceived health benefits associated with each individual fruit. The overarching trend of product naturality is becoming more and more pronounced as the COVID-19 health pandemic has caused a surge in the demand for citrus fruits in particular, as two of the most popular citrus fruits being orange and lemon have certainly benefited most from this, being associated and linked closely to immunity functions, which boosting functions for immunity whilst continuing to address consumers' quest for better for you products. An 8% compound annual growth rate, again, between 2018 and 2026 is forecasted for the near future for natural flavors from fruit sources. And thirdly, we have the area of herbs and spices. Similar to the other two areas previously discussed, certain herbs and spices are closely associated with health and wellness benefits. And we have seen an increase in product launches containing these in recent years, with natural flavors extracted from herbs forecasted to grow globally, again by 8.3%, and spices to grow globally by 8.2%, both until 2026. Consumers are continuously increasing their interest in spicier ingredients, both in sweet but also in savory products. Traditionally found mostly in food products, we are seeing herbs and spices, spice flavored products also appear ever so more into beverages. Turmeric, for example, has seen a massive 365% increase in new product launches in the beverage category, namely in coffee and tea and in ready-to-drink products. In addition, we've seen recent launches in this space from global companies like Coca-Cola with their Sprite brand launching a ginger version of their classical product. Some key flavors that we will expect to see and that will grow in popularity from this trend include peach and rose, ginger and lemongrass, and blackcurrant and elderflower, just to name a few. So in summary, product innovation with natural ingredients, whilst highlighting their health qualities, certainly presents opportunities for brands to capitalize on growing interest in better for you food and drink products from a consumer perspective. I will now pass you back to Natalie to wrap up today's Trendcast.
Great, thanks, Jamie. So that concludes our overview on Good For Me and the Planet, where we were discussing how consumers are focused more on plant-based foods, making the most of what our planet has to offer, and driving interest in natural ingredients. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you have any feedback, we'd love to hear from you either via our social channels or send an email to your local Synergy site. To find out more about other trends in this series, you can visit our website, synergytaste.com, and keep your eye out for further Trendcast episodes to discover the latest trends we are seeing in the market. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again soon.